Hey everybody, I'm Rob Freeman and welcome back to Securing the Built Environment. This is episode 137 and today we're answering the question, what is a present value calculation? Well, a present value calculation, also known as a net present value calculation, is a useful formula that you can use to calculate the present value of future cash flows that come from an investment. And a net present value calculation uses a process called discounting, which is the opposite of compounding, which will take the future cash flows that you're going to receive from an investment, say like a solar project or some other type of renewable energy project that has cash flows far into the future, and then it discounts those cash flows using a discount rate, or also sometimes called a hurdle rate. And the discount rate is the same as you would think of as an interest rate that you might receive if you were talking about compounding. So compounding is something where you receive an interest rate on your money and it grows each year at that interest rate. And a discount rate does the same thing, it just does it in reverse, and it shows you the present value of those future cash flows that you have to wait for if you were to make that investment up front. And so we're going to go through an example here using a calculator at robfreeman.com/NPV. And you can use that to get an estimate for those types of investments. And obviously speak to your accountant and your attorney about your specific scenarios. This is just an assumption that you would be making here, but let's go through an example of how net present value calculations work. Through an example here using this net present value calculator that you can find at robfreeman.com/NPV. And let's assume that this project is a commercial solar project. And let's say the investment upfront is $1 million, just to keep things simple. And let's say the tax credit is 30% for the investment tax credit, the ITC. Let's assume that the project is meeting the prevailing wage and other requirements within the Inflation Reduction Act. And you'll see as soon as you put that in there, it's going to calculate the investment after the tax credit. So now it seems changed to $700,000 is your initial investment. Now for your discount rate, let's use something simple, 10%. And then we'll make our future cash flows only for 5 years at $200,000 per year. And we're just using very round numbers, and this is very unrealistic for a solar project to produce that type of cash flow in the first few years with a project that size. But we're just going to use it to make an example here. Okay, so now we have a $1 million investment with a 30% federal tax credit, $700,000 after the tax credit, discount rate of 10%, and 5 years of future cash flows. So what it's going to do is it's going to discount those future cash flows to today's dollars using that 10% rate. So you have to wait 5 years for that year 5 $200,000. You have to wait 4 years for the year 4 $200,000, and so on. So let's calculate it, and we'll see that the present value of those future cash flows today is $58,157.35. And so you might say, okay, well, yeah, that makes sense. You know, it's even at a straight line basis, that's $1 million of future cash flow. So, you know, you're probably saying, well, yeah, it's not surprising that present value is a positive number, because that's really what you're going for with an NPV calculation, is you're looking for a positive number. You don't want a negative number. But let's look at let's just say that we had to remove 1 year of future cash flow. So let's take out the 5th year. Now, that's still, the cash flows on a straight line basis are greater than the upfront investment of $700,000. You're making $800,000 in future cash flows. So, but what happens if we just take out that 5th year? What happens to the net present value? So the net present value changes. Now it's a negative number, meaning that the fact that you have to wait all that time for those cash flows means that this is not a good investment. So even after the federal tax credit of 30%, and the fact that you're getting $800,000 on a $700,000 investment, when you take the discounting into effect, which is again the opposite of compounding, it shows you that you are really $66,026.91 in the hole. So again, this is a simple net present value calculation that you can use to estimate what your present value of those future cash flows of an investment might be for something like a solar project or other type of project that has cash flows far into the future. Yeah, so that's it. So that shows you how to use a net present value calculator to calculate the present value of your future cash flows using a process called discounting, which again is the opposite of compounding. And yeah, it's really helpful in terms of taking a long-term realistic view as opposed to just a straight line cash flow view, because you're going to discount all your future cash flows using an interest rate that you would expect from any investment that you make with your money. So anyway, I hope this is helpful. If you have questions and you want to reach out, please feel free to schedule an appointment with me at robfreeman.com. Thanks again for watching and have a great day.